is Rolando Larraz with Face the Tribune. As I always said, if you got nothing to hide, you can face the Tribune. But otherwise, be careful. With me today is a great figure in the Spanish community, a fighter for the Spanish people's benefits in the United States is Ronnie Najaro with the Libre
Initiative.
Initiative. Welcome, Ronnie. Thank you for being here today.
No, absolutely. Thank you, Rolando, for the invitation, and it's a pleasure being back with Face the Tribune and this radio program. You've had us on before, and it's always an interesting topic of conversation every time we join.
What's going on? I saw you a few days ago when uh, there was an event at the Mexican consulate, and you attended that event, and I want to thank you in my part because I was recognized for my work, and I appreciate what you guys say about me that day. But I invite you to come over because it's more things going on with Hispanic, and now we got the 2016 election, and it's going to be a madhouse.
Excellent. First of all, for Rolando, thank you for having us. And I want to give my congratulations to you. We definitely honored you as an award for your tireless work in the community here in Las Vegas. And, we were part of that event to honor community leaders who have dedicated their lives practically to serving in the community. So as a community service organization ourselves that really works to empower the community, the Hispanic community, make it a more prosperous community, we felt it necessary to actually, honor all those that engage in the work that we're kind of doing with the Libre Initiative. And so it was a great experience to be able to be there with other community leaders and continue to support, the betterment of our community here in Las Vegas.
We have your picture when you was recognizing the widow of Eddie Escobedo, Maria Escobedo, which I haven't seen her since Eddie died, and I have a lot of respect for that lady, and I was happy that she was recognized because she is the kind of person that she is behind the scene person, and I was very very happy that she got that. She got three recognitions. She
Right.
got one from Congressman Crescent Hardy. He got one from the
Care More
Care
organization.
More.
Exactly.
That you are involved with that.
We were definitely a sponsor of that event. Again, because I said these are all folks at the Mundo people, Escobedo and family. They really have been pillars in the Hispanic community throughout the years, and they've really helped elevate the voice of Hispanics in this valley. As the Hispanic community is growing, and which mentioned 2016, it's a community that's influencing and growing. Its voice can no longer be ignored, whether it be in the economy, whether it can be in politically, socially. It's a community that needs attention, and it's definitely a focus that we at the Libre Initiative are working to empower these folks,
Yeah.
to reach out to them with a message of opportunity, a message of economic freedom, of self-reliance, giving them the tools and offering them services at the same time so that they're able to get a hand up in their personal lives and not so much
It's like they said, "Don't give me a fish, show me how to fish, and I can do it myself."
exactly.
You
So,
know,
and that's exactly the point. We're offering in different states. What we do is we recognize a need in the community. In Arizona, for example, the community was telling us that there's a big demand for folks to learn English. Obviously, English unlocks economic opportunity. It opens educational opportunities. It gives you the tools to enter the marketplace, be more successful, and be more prosperous. So it's been a great initiative that we've done to help catapult these folks and to better their lives on an everyday basis. Then, once you achieve that, I think you're definitely positioning them to be more economically free, to be able to access the free market, which we so adamantly defend. So it's a very important thing that we do across the country.
but let me ask you: it is really a leader in the Spanish community. Who is our leader in Nevada, in Las Vegas?
Well, I think definitely there's other folks in the Hispanic community that may have their own definitions of what a leader is, but to me, a leader is somebody that's really advocating not only to to serve the best interest of the community, to position them in a
But you
position
can
where
be
they
a
can succeed.
leader.
Exactly. And so, what the leadership, the Libre Initiative is doing is we're taking the leadership and offering a different narrative in the Hispanic community that for years pretty much hasn't been talked about. What we're finding is a lot of Hispanics have been reached out to with the message of dependence rather than independence, with a message of economic without really
But
giving them
isn't
the
that what the
tools.
government really want?
Well,
Dependence instead of independence?
that's the
They like to
unfortunately.
keep us control.
Exactly, and unfortunately, the last 8 years of this administration have been really a tax and spend organization that is the administration that has done very much cripple our ability to succeed. And one of our main messages is that the more government
I wish
regulations
it
you
was
have,
I think I wish it was 8 years. We still have 6 more months to go.
exactly. So, we need to definitely empower folks to understand why this is happening. The mentality that the government is the answer to everything is really doing a disservice in the Hispanic community. And it's really robbing the Hispanic community of their entrepreneurial desires. From the moment the Hispanic community comes to this country, they are already entrepreneurs because they have a language barrier. The only way they can make it in this country is to pick themselves up and actually succeed.
I always believe that.
Right.
We are the minorities because we don't speak the language. The blacks, I don't consider the minority because they speak English. That's why there are Spanish newspapers, and that's why, people tend to emphasize we do speak Spanish because there is a minority problem in there. I don't consider anybody else a minority because they speak the language. And most of the people that come here from other countries, from Latin America, they have a hard time. I've been here 60 years and I have a hard time with the language. I tell people that I'm like the Jewish people from New York. I lived there for 98 years and then moved to Miami Beach with a thick accent. and
Right, right. But the fact of the matter is, that we have to encourage Hispanics to actually learn culture and actually
definitely.
access the free markets and access the system so that we can be more open to opportunities. One of the main things we talk about is education at the Libre Initiative. And here in Nevada, when we talk about equal opportunity and Nevada passed a school choice, universal school choice bill legislation just recently, where it gives all students, regardless of their economic background, access to the schools of their choice. That's huge for the Hispanic community because now what you're doing is you're giving Hispanic students that may have been stuck in a school that's underperforming based on their zip code. Now you're giving them the same access that folks that are more well off financially have, and that's really going to unlock tremendous opportunity for our students here in Nevada. And so we're excited about the potential benefits that this universal school choice bill is going to have for students in Nevada and for our educational system here in the whole state, and also the contributions that this is going to lay going forward for our economy, which has for so many years been struggling here in Nevada.
And that is why you guys come handy, and I appreciate what you are doing. Uh, your group is doing because you are really completely dedicating a lot of time and a lot of efforts and hours to help the Spanish community and especially those who coming here new, and that is a task by itself.
Exactly, it's a task. It's a task what we do with countless hours of hard work, and that's one of the values that the Libre Initiative really espouses: is hard work. The idea that you can achieve whatever you want in this country if you really decide to educate yourself and put in the hard work and gain self-reliance. Recently, here in Nevada, one of the examples that we did as a community service is we recently held a driver authorization class prep course for undocumented immigrants that now contain driver's licenses. And the main point here is this was
But
done.
this is one thing that I hate to tell you this.
Right.
I don't agree with that. But how can they drive if they don't know how to read the signs?
Well, that's exactly what we're doing. And the purpose for this class is exactly that, is to educate folks so that they are able to follow the rules and the rules. Because in the end of the day, this was a legislation that was passed through the legislature. It was done the right way. And as proponents of rule of law, we believe that the law has its weight. We're helping folks learn the signs of the road, preparing them so they can actually drive legally in Nevada, and that contributes to everybody because obviously you're honoring the rule of law, you're positioning the Hispanic community, the immigrant community, to be more responsible on the road, but also you're giving them the hand up. I was speaking to a person that passed the test, and this person is now, because she can drive now legally in the state, it facilitates her process to be able to go get her GED because she now can drive freely and without any worries. She can go get her GED, and she's working on getting her legalization. So it helps. It's a minor thing that helps everybody lives, but it positions people better to access and better positions in the market, which in turn then helps them assimilate more into our culture and our ways. So it can only benefit them because you're helping them actually abide by the law and get them right with the law instead of exposing potential risk on the roads.
I know the answer to my next question, but I want those who are listening to the radio and don't know you that much, that well. And are you Spanish?
I actually was born in El Salvador. Yes, I speak Spanish and English, a little bit of Portuguese here and there, but not so fluent.
Because it is, one thing I always admire about Miguel Barrientos and you is you guys speak fluently English. You guys speak English without any Spanish accent at all, and you dedicate time and you have put a lot of effort in helping the Spanish community. And I tell you, it is something to be commended because with your English, with your personality, you can be a movie star. You can be you can be anything else you want to be in this country because that's one thing about this country. The opportunity is there. It's up to you to get the opportunity. And remember, opportunities don't knock twice.
And that's a great point. Opportunity is very important and it's essential to the American dream. That's what makes this country so great. But also, we want to be entrepreneur. We want to create our own opportunities as well. We don't want to sit by.
You went to school here,
absolutely,
right?
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely.
You came here what? Little?
I came here in 1982. I was 4 years old from El Salvador. My parents were first generation immigrants. They came to this country very young, 18 or 20 years old. No language barrier.
They were already married?
They were already married, correct. They came here legally through a family of ours that was already here. But what the beauty of that story is that they came with no language, very young. But the thing that saved the family was the thing that makes this country so great was a free market system. They were able to open their own business, very small, but from there on, my parents have been self-employed here in Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles.
And so now all three of their children have a college education and have graduated, which is it's a great opportunity that we need to preserve in this country, is that idea that you can achieve what you want in America.
So they are to be commended for that. They work hard. I tried to do that in 2002 and it failed. I wanted to recognize a lot of people that work hard for their children to be somebody, and good or bad, people like Dario Herrera, people like the Castro Verde, the fathers, the mother and the father work very hard and to make them what they are today. And we all always recognize the person, but we don't recognize the person behind, the.
And that's exactly right. I think all of us that come before one of our responsibilities is to leave this place or create the conditions for our kids, for the next ones coming up.
Both of your parents are still alive?
They are. Thank God they're still alive.
In Las Vegas or
they live in Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles.
Yeah, they live in Los Angeles. My dad is obviously he's a perfect example of resiliency and not taking no for an answer. When the economy crashed, which definitely affected all of us, he was forced to reinvent himself many times, from going from an entrepreneur whose business went down the drain to being a real estate agent to preparing taxes. That entrepreneurial spirit speaks English as well. So that entrepreneurial spirit is what it should be modeled. It should be put to all the Hispanic community. Is that you have to continue to be proactive in your pursuits.
Definitely.
And continue to access and don't rely. Although sometimes it's hard and we all fall on hard times. Don't rely on what you can get. and what free programs are, because programs, although they're well intentioned, they definitely do you more harm in the long run because they
That's
keep you
true.
trapped in a
That's
situation like
true.
that.
It's like people get used to the food stamp and the welfare, and they sit all. I say that every day in the radio. They sit there watching opera all afternoon, and they don't trying to do anything to better themselves. And that's one thing. Then I see wrong in a lot of people.
Definitely, and there's under this administration for the last 8 years, you have the number of people relying on food stamps and government assistance programs almost double. And there's been campaigns
So
done by this administration to actually measure success by the number of people that they're able to enroll. When the success rate should be determined by how many people you get
that's a
off this program.
typical modus operandi of the socialist government.
And it's very tragic because it robs us of our entrepreneurial spirit and it crushes our self-esteem and our innovation ability. And not to say that not all of us fall in hard times, but once in a while you need that assistance. But the danger is that there's incentives built in that will keep you trapped in that system of poverty, and we let that go onto our kids, and that's really not acceptable. We have to find ways with our elected leaders to actually come up
And
with ideas that are going to get us out of that.
and I also realize, and I have not been able to really confirm that, but I realize that there is some uh, ties with that help. Especially among the Spanish people. Well, we can do this for you, but you have to register this party or that party. We can do that for you, but you have to vote for this guy or for that guy. And I think that is some kind of extortion. Either you help me or don't help me, but don't put strings into my help than I need, because it is not fair. You know.
Exactly, and that's the part that is missing here, is that a lot of these folks that are enticing you to be relying on these programs, they're actually not solving the issue that at hand is the poverty. They may be making you feel good while you're in poverty, maybe making it a little easier while you're in poverty, but there's no really outward solution to how you're going to climb out of that poverty. And the best way to come out of that poverty is a job, is more economic opportunity, less regulations in the private sector that hurt these jobs. That's the only way you're gonna be able to. We're gonna be able to rise up out of that dependency, is by calling on our leaders to promote greater private sector growth, less restrictions to create more economic opportunity, which is what is plaguing the economy right now, and why so many folks are downtrodden.
Okay, and now what Libre is doing for next year? What you guys are working on now?
Well, our work has always been geared on educating on the issues, educating on issues like regulations and what's that doing to economic opportunity. Immigration reform, which is also, in a sense, an economic issue. The Healthcare Act, the Affordable Care, which, by the way, today the Supreme Court ruled in favor of upholding the federal subsidies that many are getting. But this issue right here is really affecting the Hispanic community, because when you look at the costs are increasing all across the board for the Hispanic communities. The access to doctors is narrow network is really hurting their access to healthcare, and also what you're seeing also is that while you have an insurance card, you are really not guaranteed access to receive the kind of attention you want. And there needs to be a better way that we can fix the system so that it returns more in the hands of the patients and not the doctors. Unfortunately, this law is broken. It needs to be fixed, and it's resulting in what was the exact opposite of what it promised, which is lower premiums for people, access to health care, and also reduce costs. We're not seeing any of that. So one of the things that we're doing is obviously educating on this issue to the Hispanic community and how this is not affecting them. But we're also focusing on one of the big things we focus on is regulations. Currently, government regulations from the federal government are costing the economy $80 billion a year. What this does is, when you consider the Hispanic community that's very entrepreneurial and that starts business at twice, 2 or 3 times the rate of any other demographic, regulations are going to impact the way you do business, are going to impact the way you start business, and unfortunately, it creates less jobs for people. So it's really affecting the Hispanic community more than pretty much more than any other demographic. And I think we're educating on these issues because we know these issues are going to be a big issues in the coming elections. So
So
the more
about
information,
millions, right?
exactly. So the more information we have on issues, and we're equipping the Hispanic community with issues from both sides, they're going to be better informed to exercise their vote in the ballot box and really make their voices heard like never before.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a it's a big job what you guys are doing now. You got a big shoes to fill. You
well,
know.
well, we like to focus, like I said, on our work in Hispanic, on working in education and empowering the Hispanic community. We're a nonpartisan organization, which means we're not beholden to any particular party. We are a conservative libertarian leading organization, which means more than likely we're going to support policies that offer more opportunity and less regulations, that offer more choice instead of government control. And those are really the ideology that we align ourselves with and we believe is the best way forward for this country as it has been demonstrated throughout the history.
Okay, and you operating out of Las Vegas, or the main office is in Washington D.C., right?
Right, the Libre Initiative right now is in 8 states nationwide. We're expanding to 10 states at the end of the year. We have thousands of volunteers that are already signed up through our efforts at different states, and we're just going to continue that and continue to empower the Hispanic community through activities, through seminars, through information, through media programs like this one. And we want to really hammer home the message of opportunity in free markets and the benefits liberal government has in terms of our access to the American dream here in the United States.
Are you looking at sometime to run for an office someday?
You know what? I really want to lead in our community, and it starts with the kind of work that we're doing now. We really want to improve the lives of our community. There's too many leaders that say one thing and are not delivering. So that's something definitely that is a passion of mine. But for right now, we're really focused on what we're doing with Libre, and I'm glad for the opportunity to be able to help in our capacity to advocate for this message of opportunity and freedom, economic freedom.
What is your position with the organization?
Well, right now I'm the Western Regional Spokesperson and Press Secretary, so I handle communications and messaging for the states of Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, Nevada, as my states regionally. So you will see me speaking on our position on different issues throughout the region.
What is the Libre opinion on the immigration reform? Do you guys believe it's going to happen?
We definitely encourage it to happen. We know right now that any solution to immigration, it has to be done through a bipartisan manner. It has to come through Congress, and it has to be enacted in a permanent law so that it's a permanent solution. What we feel should be the best way forward is a market-based, employment-driven solution, which includes securing the border, which includes the dreamers to adjust their status so they're able to stay here. It addresses the visa system. Right now, the visa system is very complicated. And the only way you can come to this country is if you win a lottery, basically, or there's a set number of visas. We call for an unlimited amount of visas depending on market forces that will determine how many visas get given out. And also, what do we do with the 11 million? We believe, obviously, the best way forward is a pathway to citizenship. It would be ideal. But we're also willing to accept some legal status for them to be able to earn citizenship, or for them to at least be able to work in this country, contribute to our economy, and be able to have the freedom of being able to travel back and forth to their countries and they're able to be reunited with their families.
But do you think that if they get all that, like for example, right now they can have a driver's license, they can have a bank account, they can work. What is the stimulant to become even a legal resident, not citizenship, but even a legal resident?
Well, I think what's important, what's going to happen with immigration reform is once you get this into a solution that works, once we secure the borders and once we fix our broken immigration system, then you will cut down the illegal immigration and you have more folks coming in the right way. And I think maybe on both sides of the aisle, I think we both agree that the problem right now is not legal immigration, it's illegal immigration. There is no way to know who's coming in and who's coming out. 40% of those here undocumented right now came here legally through a visa they overstayed. So the system is not working. Once you fix the system, I think illegal immigration will be able to be controlled, and then you can be able to do things the right way, and that's going to help the country. It's going to give a good
So
economic boost
you
to the
mean
country.
most people come here with a tourist visa or a student visa or a working visa, and then they overstay, or so that crossing the river is it's a myth.
Oh, it's not a myth. We definitely agree. Like I said, there is a illegal immigration problem, but of those folks coming here illegally, at least 40% have folks that came here the right way and that
So what do
overstayed
you
their
call
visa.
the ones that come here with a visa and overstay that visa? What do you call that?
There's definitely still out here illegally. So what we have to do is fix a way for us to be able to track who's here, and really hammer down how we're going to track these folks. Because right now it's simply not working, and that's a classic example
And
of
now
it.
all this work with the immigration is strictly for the Mexican people, or it is for other people like Salvadorians or Nicaraguans or Hondurans, which are the most popular countries that bring people over here.
Well, you know what, and that's a misconception is that immigration is uniquely a Hispanic problem, but you're also having a high number of Asian immigrants that are coming into
Oh,
this
I keep
country.
saying that
And
for a
it's
long
yeah,
time.
and it's so it's not a Hispanic country, although it's very important to the Hispanic community. We have to understand that it's a problem. That it's something that affects us all, whether you're Hispanic, whether you're African American, whether you're Caucasian, whether you're Asian. It affects us all because we all know somebody that's here illegally. We all know somebody that's a family member sharing documents. So it affects us all. So we have to find a solution, and that's going to help everyone.
And what is the position for your group on this case? You wanted to lobby for that. You guys are in Washington D.C., so I'm sure you knocking a lot of doors and moving a lot of obstacles to do that.
That's an interesting point. We definitely
Quietly,
have.
but you're doing it. I know you're doing it.
Yeah. In 2013, we actually launched a campaign called Estamos Contigo, which called on drawing support from both sides of the aisle to come up with immigration reform. Our executive director, Daniel Garza, has also spoken in front of Congress recently, addressing the need for some kind of immigration reform. So it's an issue that's not going to go away. It's an issue that's going to stay with us. Right now, the process, we don't have immigration reform or any movement because the executive actions that President Barack Obama took last November have really stalled any progress on a rightful and legal way to do it. And right now, millions, because of a political fight and because the president overstepped his bounds, we're finding that many of the Hispanic community are in limbo again, and we have no progress on a bipartisan solution, which is the only way our system's going to get solved.
Well, because my question was because I asked that question because uh, the president in the first term he promised to solve the immigration problem, and then he didn't do it. Now in the second term he promised that he was going to do it, and then he said then it's not up to him, it is up to Congress. And now uh, Hillary Clinton is been here already 3 times saying the same thing. And I think those people are playing games with the Spanish people that are counting in somebody to give them the hands they need.
Exactly, and that's exactly the point. President Barack Obama had 8 years, a full term to provide that promise, and instead chose to focus on an Affordable Care Act that was rushed through Congress without bipartisan approval. And up till now, it's been a complete disaster for folks that want to keep their insurance. But they had everything at their disposition: Congress, the House, the Senate, and administration, and failed to deliver on these promises to the Hispanic community. The only time they acted was when there was an election at hand and they wanted to play politics. And unfortunately, those political games now have put us farther away from actually achieving a real solution that many folks are depending on to be able to contribute to this economy. And that's very sad.
And I really don't quite understand because some of those people are not uh, eligible to vote. So what is the point of lying to them? Some people don't think it's lying. I believe it's lie. It's plain straight lie that they are doing with the people that are here illegal, undocumented, however you want to call them. And like I said all the time, the Mexicans are not the only illegals in this country. There's Greeks, there is Chinese, there is actually Asians in general. It's a lot of people from Philippines that are here without a visa, and I think it is an insult to the intelligence of those people to be playing those kind of games.
It's a slap in the face, really, to the
It
Hispanic
is.
community,
And
basically.
they don't vote. So what is the benefit for those politicians?
Well, the funny thing is, as many as there are undocumented folks here, they have families, they have children that are born here. So there is a component there that they want to play, be the good one, be the good guy in the face of the Hispanic community. But going back to Hillary Clinton, what strikes me about Hillary Clinton is she's actually taken a more radical position than President Barack Obama did when doing executive action. She's even stated that she's going to go further than President Barack Obama on immigration if Congress doesn't act. And we know that's not the right solution, because if anything, what's going on now is an example. That's why we have no movement forward, is because of a president that overstepped his bounds. The only ones talking about a common sense solution and working together through Congress are actually some of the Republican candidates that are on the trail. Hillary is actually having a more extreme position that we know is not gonna be able to drive folks to the table and negotiate in good faith. And it's really sad, because again, it's playing politics over trying to find a real solution to a real problem that affects us all.
But let me ask you, you seem to be a very sensible man. Do you think, don't you think that the people that are waiting for that immigration miracle to happen, they could be a little more humble instead than demanding? They could ask instead than, act uh, arrogantly. They could be a little more humble and ask instead than demand.
Well, I think
Because
that's
I hear that most of the people that even Mexican people that are born here, raised here, and are legitimately citizens of this country, they criticize that word demand. We demand. Nobody has any right to demand anything.
well, I mean, in this country, you do have the right of expression and free speech, so you can demand whatever you want. The problem with this, the problem with the situation is that, and it's more. I think falls more on the left, who has taken a citizenship or nothing approach to immigration reform. But if you ask people that are here illegally,
Yeah.
and you really ask them, what do you want out of this? Do you really want to be a citizen? Or do you just want to have the ability to travel back and forth to your country at your leisure, be able to be reunited with your families? And there's studies that actually show that of those people that are actually here legally and eligible to become citizens, there's a large majority that doesn't choose to become an American citizen. So for a lot of these folks, it's just the ability to work, right? So I think politicians get in a position where they want to score political points, and they take extreme positions like the Democrats do on
Well, that's the game, and that's the game
Exactly.
they're playing, because they figure that by doing that, they can antagonize one group to the other one. And then, it's like they said, when you divide, you win.
Exactly. And if you look at the different components of being talked about, there's border security, there's driver status, there's the 11 million, there's visas. Are you willing to throw away all those four components of fixing the immigration system for an all or nothing position on citizenship? Or are you willing to negotiate and find common ground that may include legalization with the possibility of later revisiting it to actually talk about citizenship? Or are you going to throw it all away? I think most immigrants in this country would choose not to give it all away for one small component of it. I think they want an overall solution that at least gives them permanency in this country. That's the question we have to ask for, and not
But if they want to be permanent legally resident of this country, why not become American citizen like anybody else have done in the years past? The Italians did it, the Irish did it, the Russians did it.
Exactly.
They cannot have the cake and eat it, the both at the same time. There's a lot of those countries that have dual citizenship, so they're not going to lose their citizenship if they love their country that much. If I love my country that much, I would have not come here.
And a lot of that is education. A lot of folks are maybe unaware of that detail. And I think that's where it's important that we educate our Hispanic community on civic engagement, on history of this country, so that they're able to be more equipped and know what the landscape of America, and then they can take advantage of what our country has to offer. It starts with education, and I think we need to do a better job of educating, folks from all aspects in the Hispanic community, immigrants or not, on those principles that make this country. And I think then you begin to see more folks willing to, like you say, embrace the American culture.
Ronnie, another thing that really drives me crazy is the amount of people that are running for the position of president. Why can they get together? What do we got now? 18, 20?
Something like that, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Republicans, and I think it's about 5 or 6 Democrats. Why can't they get together and pick 3? Let's be a little more lenient. Get 3 so people have a choice in the primary, and also for everybody else to make a little bit money on the primary, because otherwise the candidates are not going to advertise, the candidates are not going to do anything, because they all going to go straight to the general. But I mean, 18 people running for the same job, and they all claim to be the best.
Well, I'm actually, because of what obviously we're a nonpartisan organization. Presidential politics is something that I personally would rather stay away from commenting and rather focus on the issues. But at least what we're getting at is that at least there's a lot of they're having work cut out. Who's going to communicate their ideas best? Who's going to present better ideas that are going to spur our economy, that are going to create more education opportunities for our community? They're going to have that task of educating. Well, whoever, that remains to be seen. We haven't really had time to hear them all. But, it's
I'm going to get you off guard.
But, whoever it is, they're going to have to communicate that, specifically how they're going to improve the economy, which has been really stagnant in the last 8 years, and we're still not fully recovered from an economy that really disappointed us all. So, we're going to have the work cut out, and we have to communicate these ideas to the Hispanic community and to all of us to really earn the vote this time.
Well, how can we help here in the Las Vegas Tribune and Radio Tribune? How can we work with you on anything that you're doing? Then it would be benefit for everybody.
I think the platform that you have is great. I think the more our people start to get the issues from a different perspective than they used to, especially in the Hispanic community, when they get it from a left-wing perspective, it opens minds. It opens minds, it exposes them to different ideas, and then they can really begin to understand the political process and what's political points and what's actual information. The platform is very important. Access to information and spreading of ideas is very important to us, and we thank you for that.
And what are you guys going to be doing more into the presidential, into the federal races, or you just going to be in state-wise instead than federal?
We're definitely looking into getting more involved at the local level. All politics is local, as you very much
Well,
understand.
that's what you need to run for the office in the local level, and then they have somebody in there to
Right.
work for them.
So right now, we're focused on educating on federal issues, like I mentioned to you before, and just sticking to the issues of educating them. But we definitely want to have more impact locally. You're right.
But I want to go back to the question that I asked you from the beginning. Who is the Spanish leader in this town? Who you consider a leader of the Spanish community?
Well, I think anyone can be a leader here. You just have to care about the community and be honest with the community, and actually deliver on solutions to some of our community's problems. It can be you, it can be I, it can be anyone who wants to really care about the community.
I always thought that Eddie Escobedo Sr. was that leader. Even back in 1970, I don't know, 74, 75, I tried to run him for city council. There was an open seat there, and he was all for. But then he got sick, and he got, I think, the second heart attack,
Oh wow.
and he decided not to run for. But he quietly, I think he did a lot of good uh, for the community. He used to tell me that he was a Mexican Jew. He's a businessman, and he is going to try to make money more than anything else in order to be able to keep working for other people that have less. And I think he achieved that. I think he did finally got that together, and that's why I was surprised when I saw somebody over there the other day taking credit for uh, a lot of the stuff that he did, that he created, that he founded, and they took credit for. And that it really not only shocked me, but it's also hurt me because Eddie and I was not together all the time. He was in a different level. He was a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat, and he was friends with Harry Reid. I don't like Harry Reid, so we was not. But we had that feeling for each other all the time. And I tell you one thing more I like about Eddie Escobedo. He gave me a respect that I probably don't even deserve. In 1980 or 79, when he was going to open the El Mundo newspaper, he called me, and I don't remember if I was in Miami or I was in Los Angeles. At that time, I got a place in Boss City. And I did, he asked me, I said, are you planning to open the Spanish newspaper again? And I used to have the Spanish paper. He used to write for me in those days. And I said, no, I'm going to open another Spanish newspaper. And he said, very humble, he said, do you mind if I open a Spanish newspaper? He didn't need to ask me. I'm not a
Right.
godfather. I'm not the governor. I'm not anybody like that. This is almost a free country. And he didn't need to ask me anything. And I said, no, go ahead. And his widow reminded me the other day that they took all the furniture from my office and put them in his office.
Wow.
I mean, to me, him asking me indirectly, he didn't say, can I have your blessing? Can I have your permission? But he asked me, I said, you mind if I do? Because my son is going into journalism school, and I thought it was a good idea. He even gave me an explanation that he didn't need to, and
Yeah.
that I always kept it in my heart and in my head. That kind of decency don't exist anymore.
Right, you're right, and that's really good because you touched on the point that's very important. Is regardless of the ideological differences, there was a mutual respect, and there was actually a willingness to engage each other on important topics. One of the things, and you brought it up now, is we get attacked a lot as an organization based on our ideology, and a lot of our opponents would seek to villainize us instead of actually looking at the work we're doing in the Hispanic community. And I think that's it's very tragic that there are folks in this community who, because they don't agree with us, have tried to exclude us from events and censor our message to the Hispanic community. When we're just as Hispanic as anyone else,
And in
and we
some
have the right
cases,
to
in some cases, they don't agree with some of us, not with all of us.
right.
And I tell you what I found incredible funny is I had a guy, I wrote about that a couple times in the paper. I had a guy that always was complimenting the paper, saying, right on, you did the right thing, you wrote the right thing. And then one day I wrote something that he didn't agree with. And he said, you are crazy. Well, anyway, who read that stupid rag? I said, well, you did. because you was telling me about that you don't agree, and that's what I want. I want people to tell me when they don't agree with me.
But the most important thing is let's talk about what we don't agree with, and let's not resort to villainization or demagoguery, where you insult somebody based on because they don't agree with you or based on your ideology, or generalize them or try to villainize them in front of your readers. It's
Right.
important that we recognize differences, but we also hammer these out and talk about our
See, I
differences.
don't. I'm not particularly. I don't go for the mentality of the Democrat, but every one of those county commissioners are Democrat. Every one of them, with the exception of Tom Collins, Las Vegas Tribune endorsed them. Las Vegas Tribune support them because we thought there was the right thing to do for the community. And as a whole, I don't look at the things, I don't look at the issues or the problems as a Spanish or Italians or Jewish or Anglos. I don't consider, I go for what is good for the community as a whole. And that's what a lot of people need to start doing and become. I tell you, I have a guy today that told me one thing that I could not believe. And he said to me, "Are you a racist?" And I said, "I don't think I am. I deal with everybody." I said, "Are you a racist?" And he said, "No, I am a human race. I don't need the other is a color, is a nationality. We need to start thinking human race, and it is true. It is true. We need to think positive,
Exactly.
and we all have two eyes, one nose, one mouth. You know, we all
Exactly.
are. Somebody, maybe someone has taken a little more suntan than the other one. Someone is. Have more hair than the other one. I don't think anybody can have more hair than me, but
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, and we're all like you said. We're all Americans here, whether you're from Mexico, you're Mexican American, you're
yeah,
Salvadorian American, and
yeah.
we need to look at each other for that. And there's really, from our perspective, there's no Hispanic issues; they're American issues.
And that's why I took this route to educate the American people, because like they asked me many times, they asked me, when do you came to America? I was born in America.
Right?
You know,
Yeah.
Latin America or South America or North America or Central America. I was born in America. This is the American continent. And people had that question all the time. How do you like to be in America? I've been in America all my life, you know, and it is something then it is very important to educate these people. You know, we don't have to agree to disagree. We can be able to sit down and discuss things normally,
Exactly.
like a normal human being.
And that's the way you solve problems is by coming together, and definitely whether it be policy, you approach it from a bipartisan perspective, and whether it be discussing immigration, you talk about it from a bipartisan perspective. Finding common ground is very important. We don't see that today, unfortunately. We need to get back to working together. We need leadership coming from Washington that actually brings people together instead of divides them, and those kind of leaders that are inclusive instead of dividing and pigeonholing communities into their own respective, and then use that to divide. That is not helpful to the Hispanic community or to any community.
And you know what really is driving me crazy right now is the way the Republican Party is behaving. They got the control of the legislation. They have the control of everything, and they started by fighting among themselves. What kind of example can you give? What kind of a, and people follow what they want to follow. Now they follow the Confederate flag. You know, that flag has been there forever. Now you wanted to start talking about taking the flag down? Why do you did that 50 years, 60 years ago? Harry Reid was the mascot at the UNLV. That UNB mascot has been there forever. Why did he want to do that now? He want to leave that in his legacy.
Beyond me.
I know. I know you don't want to talk about
I'd
it.
rather not get into that subject. But it's the Republican Party
Well,
has a
you
great
get into that
opportunity.
subject with me off the air.
We're not, as Libre Initiative, we don't comment on we're not commenting on social issues and
Off
stuff
the
like that.
air either.
But we can discuss economic freedom or some of our policy positions uh, at length.
I don't. You don't think it would be a good idea to let your feelings out one day? Forget that you are libre and start talking.
Definitely, from a personal perspective, in the Libre Initiative spokesman capacity, I like to focus on issues that represent the Libre Initiative and what we're doing to espouse those issues in the Hispanic community. So,
Okay. So, Ronnie, I really, really appreciate. I know how busy you are. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here. And I told you that. I tell you that every time I see you, the doors of Radio Tribune are open for you and your group, your organization, Libre
Initiative. And by the
Initiative.
way, if you're interested in more information, you can visit us online at the Libre Initiative. Actually, it's www.blibre.org. And you can also visit us on Facebook at Libre Initiative.
And you are in downtown Las Vegas, right?
We're actually a couple of blocks down. So
I
you're
know.
welcome to come to our office here in downtown. It's on
But you didn't
19.
walk over here.
Oh,
No,
no.
no, no.
No, that
No.
time is 6 months ago. I would have done that. Not
Really?
now. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And like I said, you're welcome to come back anytime you want. All you got to do is text me,
All right. I appreciate the invitation.
like
Thank
the
you.
young people do. Folks, thank you very much for listening to Radio Tribune. My name is Rolando Larraz, and I thank you for your participation.